I am going to pedal 8,000 kilometers to raise money for MS brain health causes. And I want to tell you a little bit about this trip. But before I go into it, I just want to rattle off the thanks. I think by the end of 8,000 kilometers, I'll be wishing I never said yes. But regardless, Ice Strikes, Tubolito for the inner tubes, Phytofix for some nutrition advice. All the links are in the description to the video below, by the way, to all the sponsors. If you do cycle, or you do want to trike, or you do want some nutrition advice from an expert who has MS and also deals in nutrition, etc., please check it all out. But MS affects everybody everywhere, and that's why people are happy to help out. I've been just so touched by the positivity of the responses. So thanks to the sponsors. I have a Patreon. The MS Guide, that's me. That's the channel you're looking at this on. If you're not subscribed, I'd be really ashamed and hit that button right now. But anyway, you can redeem yourself by subscribing. If you want to redeem yourself further, support me on Patreon. I don't use this to go to the pub. Anything I get on Patreon, I use to run the channel. And now there's so much more involved for this trip. So any contribution you make, and it's less than a cup of coffee a month if you want, less than 1 cup of coffee out a month. So if you can support me on the Patreon, I'd be super grateful, because you are contributing towards essentially trying to make things better for people with MS, because that's the aim of the msguide.com, and that's the aim of the Ride Canada for MS Time is Brain initiative. It's to make things better for people with MS. If I wanted to ride across Canada on my own, it would be a lot easier. Trust me, I could just go and do it. But anyway, by the way, I've had MS for 32 years. I think some people don't believe this, but I don't walk that well, but one of the things I can do is cycle, and especially cycle sitting down. So if you're wondering why or how I'm going to do 8,000 kilometers, well, like any big task, you have to chunk it up. And I'm looking at this over 4 months. So I'm saying 100 days. That gives me about 20 rest days. So I'm going to have to treat this like a religion. I ride for 6 days on, and then I have 1 day off to reflect and rest. And in those 6 days on, I have to ride 80 kilometers a day, which is 50 miles a day if you're in the UK or you're still using metric. Australia, maybe. No, is Australia kilometers? I think Australia's kilometers now. Like Canada, sensibly. Anything you can divide by 10. Anyhow, that's 40 kilometers before lunch, 25 miles before lunch, or 40 kilometers after lunch, 25 miles after lunch. That, if you cycle a lot, and I've cycled for the last 30 years, is not that much. So you just need to look at it like that. And the main thing for me is going to be the resilience aspect, to get up every day and go and cycle another 80 kilometers. And I was chatting to my neurologist about this, and she said, it's about pacing yourself. Don't go off like a bat out of hell one day, because you'll pay for it for the next couple of days. So everything now, and I'm recording this towards the end of October 2024, and I leave on May the 1st, 2025, which is a Thursday. I think I'll be welded in my head now. Is about training and getting ready. It's about the eating, the nutrition, the type of exercise I do. All of which is great for brain health. I've been fortunate. I've been a really naughty boy, actually. I say I've been fortunate. I have been a very, very naughty boy at some points in my life. I have smoked. Quite enjoy smoking. Shouldn't even say that. It's perverse. I enjoy roll-ups more than anything. I don't enjoy smoking a lot, and I don't enjoy it that much that it's worth wrecking my brain for, or my lungs, or whatever. So it's but I haven't been pure as a driven snow. And anybody who sits there and starts finger wagging at you, you really need to wonder if they've been perfect, because I've had MS for 32 years. So I have slipped. I'm pure as a driven slush, or what did Mae West say? Pure as a driven snow, but I drifted, something like that. But anyway, so it's about brain health. Everything's about brain health, and the aim is to raise $1 million US. I'm not asking you for sponsorship now. I wouldn't sponsor somebody who spoke about something before they'd even done it. I might get run down by a bus tomorrow, I hope not, but I don't know. So I'll be asking you for sponsorship once I start turning a wheel in Canada, because right now I'm sitting just between Oxford and Reading in the UK, if you know that. I will be in Halifax. I'll get there probably a couple of weeks before. Thankfully, my stepfather lives there, so and he was an engineer, so it's really great to go with all the kit to a fully equipped engineering place, because I think you can retire an engineer, but you can't retire an engineer's brain or desire for lots of cool tools, which he has, and a workshop, which he has. He keeps bees too now, so that's a sign of mellowing, I think, as he gets on. But anyway, this whole effort will be to raise money for the patient side of brain health. And the Brain Health Center of the Rockies, that I said I'd get back to, they have a couple of projects now, one in Colorado and one in Chicago, where they've had real success. I mean, provable. Neurologists like to measure everything and get a paper out of it, so you can't see the papers if you want. They've had real success in patient involvement, in patient groups, involving different people, being able to talk about things like sleep, nutrition, mood, anxiety. I mean, hell, you've just been given an MS diagnosis, for crying out loud. It's going to rock your world, and if it doesn't, it ought to a bit. And the whole brain health standards, like I said, things like fast intervention these days. There's a professor in the UK, Professor Klaus Schmerer at Barts, QMUL, who's doing the Attack MS study. And that's all about treating people with a really highly effective drug right out of the traps, within 2 weeks of them being diagnosed. So it's just astonishing the amount of non-urgent ways MS is treated, when a new diagnosis of MS should be treated with the same urgency out of the gates as, say, cancer or something. MS is lifelong and incurable, so it's going to change, but initially, to preserve the brain, the best thing that can be done is to treat early and effectively with high efficacy drugs. That's the sort of medical drugs, lab coats, test tube side of things. But equally effective is what we can do for ourselves. It's things like exercise, diet, sleep, and by the way, I think if you're newly diagnosed, you ought to get a pass for at least the first year, because I don't know about you, but my brain was in a washing machine. I went between thinking about it every 3 seconds and trying to ignore it unsuccessfully. But you sort of come to an equilibrium when you've had it as long as I have had it, but it's just not perfect. But this whole ride will be about this. So it will be about raising money for brain health, for patient initiatives, international ones. So we will be looking to give money to people in different countries who are running projects about increasing brain health. And that can be largely said to be adhering to the brain health guidelines. Everything is going to be different, but it's about brain health, and we can do so much for ourselves as patients. So that's it really. I'm not going to bang on and on and on about it. I'm already starting to bore myself, and if I'm boring you, I apologize. But don't forget, you can help out on the Patreon. You can help out the whole thing on the Patreon for less than a cup of coffee a month. You can keep an eye on this channel, my channel, themsguide.com, which is that one right up the top there. And you can witness all my training with daily shorts, with these kind of updates and stuff, because if you want to see a story, that's me. I hope to get fitter and fitter, and then I'll be doing the whole trip. And the aim is to hopefully do some live sessions from the trike as well, if there's a good 5G signal, which I imagine I'll get in some Canadian cities. But anyway, subscribe, follow along. You can see my training, you can see the whole progress, you can ask questions and get them answered. There'll be interviews with experts. Augusto Muravele, MD, who's the head of the Rush MS Center in Chicago, is going to come on board the channel and talk about their patient-led initiatives to improve brain health. Proshmir is going to come on and talk about the importance of rapid treatment for MS. We're going to have patients on. I'm going to have Dr. Connor Kearley on, who's an MS patient himself, and he's got a doctorate in nutrition or something. I'm probably doing you down, Connor. So we're going to talk about the nutritional requirements of the MS body, should we say, and the specific concerns about endurance exercise, which this will be. And heck, if you make any suggestions and they're ones that we can do, we'd love to. We'd love to talk to you. If you've done something like this before, don't hide your light under a bushel. Jot a note in the comments. I want to know what it's like for you. I want to know how it's affected your MS. I want to know if you feel better for it. I'm just going on the fact that I'm just going to ride a recumbent Shrike from ice for 4 months solidly. So if you want to see all that, follow along. All right, guys, have a good one. Take care. Goodbye.